Schools have long been known to be the drivers of educational, social, economic, and political change. As a result, throughout the years, many reform acts have been passed. The NCLB, or the No Child Left Behind Act, was one such and was passed and signed into legislation in the year 2002 by President George W. Bush. There were two concerns here. One was to address the ever-widening gap between advantaged and disadvantaged peers, and secondly, to advance America's competitiveness on the world stage. Built into this law was a high measure of accountability. Schools and districts that did not make their adequate yearly progress would be sanctioned. As a result, high anxiety and fears in teachers and in students were evidenced. Subjects such as social studies and science, that were untested, saw instructional time decreased. The arts, for example, there are many districts and schools that did not include the arts as much of the funds they funneled off into remedial subjects and matters. The ecological aspect of it was often not addressed, even though the funds were sent to the districts. And so things such as students' housing issues, poor nutritional issues were often not addressed, yet students were expected to do well. Now you might ask, were there any pros? Did anything work? Absolutely. In the initial stages, literacy and numeracy rates increased. Teachers were accountable. They came to work prepared, and parents had the opportunity to choose where they'd send their child to school if they were not satisfied with their school. And now for the Augustinian perspective. Augustine, or St. Augustine, had a miserable childhood when it came to education. And he never ever wanted that for the charges who were put under his care. And so were he here, and if he could have been here, he certainly would have addressed that learning community, that area in which students gathered on a daily basis to learn. Another area of concern would be that they would be happy and not be fearful and experience high anxiety as he did when he was a child. The curriculum and the methodology certainly would have been of concern to him, where students would have had time to delve deeply and critically in subject matter, allow time to reflect, and allow time for illumination to move them towards truth, as he calls it. Yet when there is this high-stake testing, little time or less time was devoted to those areas of study that would have helped to provide a well-rounded education for students. He really believed in, practiced the role of teacher and also the relationship between teacher and students, which was a reciprocal one. He felt the classroom should be run in such a way that students would know that they were loved, that they were cared for. And one of the ways would be to take in people from diverse places and take care of them and administer the curriculum in such a way that it would meet their needs. His theories of learning and knowledge certainly, and his pedagogy, are intertwined inextricably with theology. There's no bifurcation, no separation. He believed that faith and his pedagogy went together. They moved together. One would not operate without the other. Actually, he likened that to an athlete who was well trained and who went out and who ran and who won, but ran the wrong course. So he believed that faith and technique should come together. So were he here today, he would have a lot to say about the No Child Left Behind Act, and really just wonder if, based on this act and its practices, through its implementation, if any students were being left behind. Thank you for listening.